You got Grandpa Coyote and what? The Koyote Medicine Show. Here on the AZ Radio Network, your ticket to flight. You're getting it just right. Day after day here, Monday through Friday, but especially here on the old hump day, eh? You betcha, baby. Wowzer Wednesday here on the Koyote Medicine Show. Have we been wowsing you a bit, don't you know? Do we take you on a journey that keeps you in the flow musically and so much more? Oh yeah, music therapy for your heart and soul. You little rocket man, don't you know? Rocket, whoa man. Babies, this going out today for all the whoa mans in our lives, man. All of you beautiful divine feminine forms have been able to hold it together through all the ages and generations and keep that love steady and alive, even while the men went out and practiced savage butchery against one another until there was hardly anything left of us, ma'am. About knocked our conscience presence right off the chart. You know, for a long time there, most of the universe around us was thinking we were sunk like the Titanic, man. And there goes the hopes of humanity right along with it. Well, guess what? When the Titanic went down, it did take some hopes, yes, in the persons of some very influential persons that died there when that old big old hairy old ship went down, which, wow, there's more to that story than meets the eye. Have you ever checked into it? Man, I'm telling you what, the evidence is overwhelming that that ship was something other than the Titanic. It was another duplicate thing they built real cheaply because they knew it was only going to go for one trip. And it was wired at the bottom end of it to blow out. It had dynamite or explosives in the bottom end of it to blow out somewhere along that journey, you see. And only a few people knew that, but apparently that's the indications I see in the history of it, you know. I know it was a while ago when this vision came to us, this dream, this story about this dude standing in a tall skyscraper, probably in New York City, and thinking about what he'd just done and how finally success was his. You remember that one? But there was no success in that. It was failure, yet the ultimate success. Because when you put divine hearts asunder, you add to the powers in the universe that are amplifying to help you correct your ways and no longer have to misbehave in this way. Humanity has embraced its mischievousness with a vengeance. And, you know, there are sadistic souls here, those that enjoy casting pain and inflicting pain on others. I wonder why. That would just love a great big old Armageddon to happen. They like all that biblical shit, man. They think that's heavy duty, man. Oh, yeah, it can't be any other way. It's written down there. It's got to be real, don't it? Well, baby's Armageddon's inside right now, and how? Because it's the death of the old way and the life coming alive inside in a feeling sort of way. It's real simple today. That's what makes it so wowzer. It's contact with your own human experience here in this lifetime, which is far more expansive than you ever dreamed it to be. Even in your dreams, which were pretty expansive, weren't they? Have been, will be, and boy, babies, pretty soon you're living in that expansive way because that's the only way this feeling can take you. So it's kind of like somebody just handed you the keys to your paradise and the keys to the door of the prison you've been keeping yourself in all this time, denying it. Well, if you want to get to heaven, you got to raise a little hell, eh? And why not go through the prison to do it? At least you can be controlled and contained a bit there. I bet. Not a whole lot. Free hearts do not do well with containment. That's why they're not very happy rocket men at all, because, you know, just about anything could be a prison. Even a rocket ship taking you way beyond, way beyond, way beyond, man, can still be a prison of sorts, man, you know. If you look at it, we're all kind of hemmed in by a little part of our reality, part of our life somewhere, no matter how free we may think we could be otherwise. And the old earth around us trying to get us to deny that freedom, to be afraid and accept the tyranny of a tyrannical heart as the ruler of the earth. How about that? You know, and who might it be? Who do you think it is, man? Now go read those biblical things again and you'll find out, you know, he was living, then he was dead, he can bring fire from the sky, etc. And he came back to life after everybody thought he was dead, see? Now think about who that might fit. What's the most heinous monster of the last 100 years or so? Well, God, it's hard to identify him, isn't it? Let's say one of the more visible ones. One that started a war that we didn't think would ever end. And tyranny spread across the land, and now it's trying to repeat itself, you know. Babies, we don't want this kind of reality coming forward now, do we? But you know who that person is they're trying to reincarnate? I think they've secretly kept them alive, you know, with these wonder drugs they keep from the people that reverse the process of aging. But could be they just took a little bit of scrapings off his fingernails or something and they clone him. You know, they can do whatever they want, man, you know what I mean? They being us, in the form of some chicanery of some planetary occupiers that have controlled the vision of this reality for quite some time. Started out pretty innocently, but boy, it got out of hand in a hurry, didn't it? Especially these last couple of 100,000 years or so. Shit. That's been the dark ages, babies. But guess what? Out of the maximum compression comes the most divine of expression, the blossoming flowers of life. We've composted down and are composting the elements in our personal life that have caused us to slow down, pick on ourselves, be critical, whatever. By letting this feeling come forward, again, it's very, very simple. And the rest happens more or less by automatic pilot, though you may not often think so, but you'll notice a smoother flow to it. And as you catch on, you'll see the synchronicity. That there are no wrong moments and there are no wrong words or wrong ideas or anything like that, even though we sit here and contemplate the wickedness of the reality around us right now and think they're going to reincarnate you know who, man, that dirty little Nazi from way back when, man, you know. And I can almost bet you that's what they want to do. Now, whether we're going to allow them to or not, I think we're snatching because the Armageddon's going on inside, you see. And it's happened in this reality several times before. These people don't know what they're talking about. You know, when they read it with jaundiced and prejudiced eyes, they ain't going to get anything from it except some sad-ass, horrible ending for humanity, which really ain't right. We're all here to experience the awakening to the divine. All 7.5, 8 billion of us. I think it's 11 billion, maybe 12 by now. But it's a lot anyway, and we're all here as persons. As presences in the physicality reality, as I call it, to experience the transformation. And therefore, I don't see many of us choosing a path that goes otherwise. There may be a few hard cases that really need to go home as a spiritual presence and get themselves back together, remember. Because you remember now the feelings you've had when you've been near death. You know, and you start to feel that ever-present love, and that's the reality we live in, babies, you see. So some people just have to remember that, and death is the only way they will, but it's just a few. You know, and you know what? In the living of it, in living beyond everything that would have taken us down here, and we're doing it, by the way, all the people tuned in here, and then some, the whole group of us on this earth, we're the forerunners in the reality. I was a you know, you got to think about my name here, you know, Grandpa Peter Coyote with a K. Peter is always like a keeper, a gatekeeper. You know, that's his representation, the man behind the word, the angel behind, or the energy behind the angel, etc. A gatekeeper, you know. So therefore, one that can open the doors for you if you explain yourself well enough and, you know, draw his sympathy out of him, you know. Well, I don't see that just as a male presence. There's lots of Pietresses out there too, man, but not many women wearing that particular variety of name, you know what I mean? But there is those that carry that same energy, the gatekeepers. Now see, that's essentially the crew that I see coming back to life on this planetary reality now, that we are beginning to remember our origins and of our grand service throughout the ages and generations of this thing we call time. And know that we are the crew, they know, the little forerunners, the Daniel Boones and Boonesses. Oh, baby, I love you so much. As a tribute today to the Divine Feminine in your way. Even though each of us has it too, man. We all bear the same mark. The mark of the mother, man, you know. The mark of life, of regenerative life. Life that's so loving it can change the likes of you-know-who, the nasty little dictator that's coming back to life in a different sort of way than anyone ever imagined. Because if that's the most evil thing you can create, guess what? It can be the most blessed as well. Because they are the same thing. two heads on the same little person, don't you know? But since there's only one head, well, the head became divided. And the tribe disunited. And that's where all this heinous hatred came from, that feeling of separation. The feeling of death and never being able to come back to life, not experiencing the great love. Yet it never goes away. So again, we created that illusion and called it darkness and cast some of our figurement into that so that we could have a divine experience of it and finally learn to love its expression too and move beyond the harsher lessons then, because once you get that and once you can make love with the devil, you've already got it together. I'm talking about inside yourself. Now don't go out there and try and be, little what's her name with Rosemary's Baby or nothing. Forget that stuff. That's just living other people's legends just like the biblical people do. Screw all of that. What's real is what you feel. And if that feels right, well, baby, live it. And give it your all, man, because it's time. So says Grandpa, sharing the medicine, the wealth of his heart here with you, unselfishly. So, day after day, Monday through Friday. And why? Well, because I'm Grandpa, and I know, and I love you so, babies, and let's just keep this rhythmic rock and roll, this music therapy that helps you glow, 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 grow, 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 because grow is glow, and glow is ever expanding, because you finally got the feeling, baby. That's the reality of the contact we're dealing, babies. You're going to see through the disunity here, and the disguises too, So I advise you to take a glance up in the sky above you every now and then and give it your conscious presence and an acknowledgement for the angelics that reside there, babies, Because you're going to see them visibly present in your life as you rise up in this feeling. And once they feel you feeling them, they know it's all through and it's the time to turn on the light. Time to unite with that which seemed so divided from us before and caused such an unreality, such a groaning, agonizing pain to exist in humanity that we sought to kill ourselves off again and again and again. That's the gritty shit the biblical shit predicts. Portrays would be more like the accurate word is our mischievous warp factor 10 or something like that, when it's really gone to hell. And the divided nature plays itself out to the maximum. And the authoritarian Godhead rules, and that's just BS. The only authority here is the heart and the nurturing love that comes through it. That's the real authority. And no one has to write it down because it's written of a gazillion times before and sung about and poetized and everything else, man. Prophetized. Lossitide. But see, we're just finally taking that ride now. It brings us back to that heart, that creative heart. And as we share that presence, this feeling inside of ourselves here on this Wowzer Wednesday, we're sharing it all across this globe, wouldn't you say? See, because each person that expands, well, see, your gatekeepers, your door openers, that's your job here, man. Open the gate, man. So everyone else can ascend into paradise right along with us, babies. And then we got to stand there at the finish line if we ever get there. Clumsy little buttheads that we are. But man, when we get to that finish line, once we've done the Daniel Boone thing, we get to the finish line. And we got to stand there and turn around and, create the magnetic love that draws everybody else in. I think we're doing that about right now, don't you? I think that's the contact we've established today is with our paradise self at the finish line, which is the beginning. The circle of love around a little campfire. A delicate flame that does not consume but creates. The light of which dissolves away all illusion. And there's only one dream at play here. And that's the divine heart in motion. And you'll forgive me if I choose to call her Mary Jane, because that seems to be her energy. And the herb, the sacred herb, that is often identified by that same handle. She's a gatekeeper just like I am, man. She's the other side of it. The methodology, the practice of absorption of reality, learning to be the sponge, the love sponge, opening yourself up, in other words, so you can see what's real and soak yourself back into it. That's what Mary Jane helps you feel, and we share that too. You don't have to toke down with us if you can't. But babies, you know, we share the energy of that expansive awakening with you. That's the feeling. Simple, ain't it? Don't you just love this Coyote Medicine show here on the Hazy Radio Network? Especially on a Wowzer Wednesday with Grandpa and friends, and friends, and friends. All the ancestors, the entire angelic realm, and all the universe around us united to help us take these last few steps. You think we're going to screw up, kids? Hell no. So no matter how rough it's been or how cool or anything in between, just bless it and let's get on with it, babies. Give yourself the time, as I often advocate, to dance yourself back into the divine. Get out if it's sunny enough and you can, get out there and experience a little nature day one way or another. And start to commune a little more deeply with the heart presence around you. As you come to understand the heart presence within you, this softening of the walls, this opening of the gates, this resolution of that which has been held secret inside of us forever and ever, now no longer secret. The secret is known. It's that energy of that divine child that we are that's got us through all of this and got us to this place where we can come back to life. Miracles every day here in every way, eh? As you start to catch on, ooh, and you be the living presence of it, don't you? I thought so, man. That's why I love you so. I can feel you, don't you know? We're all in this together. One united heart taking flight. Just roll with it, babies. That's right. So says Grandpa. Ooh, putting that medicine down smooth again. Ain't I fun, baby? Don't you wish I was your doctor all the time? Good old Dr. Feel Good here. Feel real good on a Wowzer Wednesday. That coyote way, wouldn't you say? Oh yeah, man, I got to get my hands free here. God, goodness gracious, God, here I am ready for a real sweet, smooth changeover. And son of a gun, I got my pipe in one hand and the lighter in the other, and etc. And I'm like, oh, get free, babies. Well, you get free along with me, babies. Let's open up some new trails today and help them all keep it underway, shall we? As we journey on in our daytime, which leads what? To the dawning of night, and there shall be light everywhere. Is to be a little bigger than all that, to hold your heart a little higher than all that, you know. A lot of these songs, man, you know, we're all about lies and deceits and treacheries and snuck away loves and broken hearts and recovery and all of that stuff. Well, a lot of it's pretty idealistic shit too, man. We love it, don't we? The tuna eyes here that makes your heart so large. But babies, you know, it's telling us something. It's telling us, you know, the steady rhythm of love in all of life. See, can you define it that way? Can you feel it? It's in the bass tones, man. It's the steadiness. It's the earthiness. It's the rock side of the roll. You know what I say, babies? It's that way. And you just got to be there with the harmony now. You take that bass tone, that's where you begin. That's the drama. That's the intrigue. That's the deception. That's the hurts. That's the wounds. That's the infections. All of that stuff. You know, it's all there in that bass tone. You know, and that's the rhythm of life. You know, it's kind of like wheels rolling on gravel, man. You hear it, man, from miles away. But it's a very basic, you know, beginning, you know. You know, the rest of the automobile rises from the rubber tire on the gravel road, you know, sings its own little song going along its way. And it's only up to you to hear it, babies, and to hear it in play. You see, this is how we rise up. To remember the charm, the magic, and the life we're living right now. The sound of that rubber tire on that gravel road at 25 miles an hour, or 55 if you're crazy, you know. And then, man, just hear the rhythm, the harmony, the angel voices, and the rubber tire on the road. You see what I mean, Jelly Bean? It's the same with all of life, man. Pay attention to the song that's going on. It's all about an increase in happiness. It's all about the willingness to love and be loving. And to have no real requirements in that, because that love raises you above everything that was ever required here. Everything. You move beyond the boundaries of, you know, possessive love, in other words. You don't live in fear. You have no need to possess. Because you're in the possession of the heart. It's in possession of you. You're the love. You're the higher life being lived, you see. It's the love. It's in everything. And everything is an expression of that living love, expanding itself in more truthful ways through every experience it chooses to take on for itself. And that's a lot, see. And we can easily get caught in the drama of it, and be a bigger part of it, and let it suck us down into that painful place again, and then go crazy and get angry and throw things, nasty words at people and shit like that. I mean, come on. Or we can rise. We can see with new eyes. We can love with this heart that's real. It's kind of new, yeah, but it's always been there. We just didn't realize it because we were stuck there in the drama. That's what we're born into, and our parents teach that to us, and everybody else around us live in this drama. Life is difficult. Life is tough. You got to be rough and tumble, baby. You got to rock. You got to roll. Well, that's true too. But see, as we grow, as we, get beyond our growing up years and come back inside of ourselves as the child that we are, we start to take that magic carpet ride and find that heart and live it. Because we are the love in motion. So says Obi-Wan Kenobi, my assistant DJ, by the way, who sends his love your way. You'll just have to excuse that occasional bark every now and then, because he's got to let me know what's going on out there. He's the big thing on the block, and so he keeps track of everybody here. If they're moving around, or if there's, a coyote coming down the mountain or whatever, he's going to let us know, man, because, he's the dude. So besides that, he's just a loving little protective little guy. He's such a good little companion. He and I together are kind of like, wow. And how, that's why I call him my assistant DJ, because his animal love, his little gritty bass tone helps me along the way, man. You betcha, Without the dog there, you'd have no understanding at all in his life, because you sure can't get it very often from human beings, let me tell you, can you? I mean, your trip seems so personal, and it seems like you're sometimes the only one that has that vision. Yet, when you tune into the Koyote Medicine show here on the Hazy Radio Network, you find out differently, don't you, baby? HazyRadio.com. We got it on worldwide here, babies. All over this earth, spreading the wealth of this love and light that we're living in, man. See, it's kind of like the light coming on. So you get involved in some drama in your life. You basically created in that subconscious way, so you can get the lesson of it. And you can rise above it, see? So, man, if you're going through stuff like that right now, just remember it's a new moon. It's a new beginning. We get them every 28 days or so. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? It ain't by the calendars, by the flow of the energy of time, which is really the love in motion and the choosing of the experience in that love in motion, see? So that we can expand, see? It goes in levels, just like dimensions. One circle around another, like a target, another circle, another, and it just, as we, start there in the gritty bass tones and get our little boogie woogie beat on, man, and get our fannias shaking, then we start to grow, because we're starting to enjoy life. We're starting to feel the love in it, you see. This is when we let all the intrigue and the trauma, all of it go, man, just, and get in the flow, see. And it takes the bass tones in harmony with other instruments, of course, to get that thing moving. You notice this, the bass tones always get you up off the chair and shaking your bacon now, isn't it, see? That's the dramatic side of life that we've chosen to live in, But once that gets you moving, then what do you start to feel? The rest of the music, the rest of the harmony, and the love in it. And sometimes, man, you're out there in the mosh pit, and it's so rocking that this entire crowd of maybe 2,000, 3,000 people down there in that little mosh pit are moving in a singular motion. There's just love. It's like a wave on the ocean, all moving together, man. The energy of the buffalo, the unity of the buffalo herd, understanding itself and moving like the prairie grass that it is, see? Because buffalo is just a representation of the prairie grass it munches upon, see? And that's why it takes on the characteristics of what it eats. Waving in the wind. Rising up out of that dusty old prairie. Ooh, badass as it can be, because it can be rough out there, don't you see? But living that life in unity with all these other beings The buffalo herd that surrounds you, more or less, as a human being in that good old mosh pit of love, you see. And realizing the totality of your movement is propelled by that great energetic love that causes the whole herd, the whole tribe to move together. You know, millions of them in one great big old flock. Flock them flockers, eh? They one great big old herd, man, you know, moving as a singular wave. Like the grass, prairie grass, that's just blowing around with the wind and going where the inspiration takes it, you know. And of course there's somebody up front, and of course there's a few stragglers coming along in the behinder side. I mean, you know, life has its way. But see, when we start to see that, we take it a lot more automatically, and there ain't all this authoritarian shit going on anymore. We don't need it. We don't need to live in fear, you know, that we're going to be heard, or we got to prevent people from doing this, that, or the other so we can be okay, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? We don't have to go force our views on others or have any forced on us. See, there's one view, and as you rise up from that inner circle, that gritty part, to the next level, and then the next level, all the levels dissolve away, man. It just becomes one big spherical atmosphere that you live in, an energy field that's ever increasing. That's creation and your perception in it. That's your reality. That's the larger dream that we're living in, see? Our ever-loving truth, given as simple as I can possibly be. Like the old coyote that I are. You see, that's what the challenge is. In the getting through the day, if it's financial trouble, romance usually it, but whatever, man, whatever it is, that's causing, you know, consternation in your life and getting you all caught up in that drama. It's like a spider weaving a web around you, and it just keeps getting thicker and thicker, and you start to suffocate. Pretty soon you're going to rebel or die. That's just the way it goes, you know. So you can let that drama take you down, and then you'll take off and fly when you pass out and go down. You know, you come right back up. You come back into that same loving field I'm talking about. But now you got to go around again and get back there in the gritty shit and pick up your roots, man, because you can't be it until you got the root. That's the full part of the expression. That's the gritty side of it. So you live in the drama for a while. But you learn to have a great time with it. You know, especially if you go through some real harsh stuff. Ooh, I mean, let's say you're getting robbed in an alley by some desperate little mugger, you know. I mean, 3 feet shorter than you, but got a great big old 44 pointed right at you, you know what, and demanding your money, man. Well, shit, yeah, here you go, baby. But you got that little twinkle in your eye, you know. You're kind of amused by the whole situation, that such desperation should even exist. So you're seeing it with a larger eye, the bigger heart. You're having compassion for those that want to harm you and take from you and rob you and kill you, you know. I mean, shit. And babies, that neutralizes the toxicity in the situation. And it really don't matter if you give them everything you got, including the clothes on your back, and walk off naked. You're better off naked right now, ain't you, baby? Because then you're noticeable and somebody's going to help you, right? Yeah, see? Everything is oddly ironic like that. And when you're all involved in the drama, you don't see it. But when you rise, when you let yourself be loving in all situations, and you understand that you already are, it's just a matter of perspective. How will I live this moment? At what level will I be in this moment? Will I let it take me down, wash me away along with all the other cigarette butts and trash in the gutter as they turn on the fountains of love and wash away and bring up clean streets again, clean gutters, all that stuff? I mean, how am I going to handle that shit, you know? Am I going to be real this time and not get involved in the deal, be the loving side of it, see the love in every situation? All that I create, all that others create, and all that we live in, it takes a lot. It takes some real cojones, a real big heart to move in this way. And up to this day, not many people have managed it, because there's so damn few around here that even have a clue. We've been living in the darkness so long, we thought that was it. And everything else, we just had to build it out of that. But it's all bullshit, and we know it now. And that's how you compost the bullshit down and make it fertilizer, so you can live a far better and more expansive life and actually have some peace in your heart and soul, no matter what's going on around you. You may shed tears for the beings that are going through the things they're going through, and you too, but your baby's living in that love at the same time. So those tears have a nice salty taste to them, have earthy tone. Some of them drip on your tongue as you're sitting there. But it helps renew you. These tears come from the center of your heart. It's not about the drama. It's about the realization of the love in the drama that actually releases you from it, sets you free as can be. And then it doesn't matter what's going on around you. You've got it. You're living the creation, and sometimes it rocks and sometimes it don't. Whatever, man, we're learning our way. We remember we're children. We're baby children in the terms of the universal life, and we're just beginning to move away from our ape-like behavior, ain't we? Well, I should certainly hope so here on this thrilling Thursday on this Coyote Medicine show here on the ever-loving Hazy Radio Network, babies. I sure appreciate you being here and being willing to convey your energies up here so we can get it clear, baby. You know, it's a unity thing, man. This is a unified tribe here on this audiential side of the expressive heart called the Coyote Medicine Show. Yes, indeedy, don't you know? Each and every one of you as integral as any other element in this entire reality. If one element goes missing, the whole thing's done, baby. That's why you can't let yourself get swept away along with all the refuse when the gutters get cleaned out, babies. You got to be better than that. You got to get up out of the gutter. You got to let it be your launching pad, man. Now, don't be bad. Put the weapons away. You know, all of them. Not just the guns of shit. You know what I'm talking about. Don't wage war on yourself or anyone else anymore. Allow yourself to see it in this larger way. The way of the heart. How's that for a thrill on this Thursday? A good beginning, wouldn't you say? I'd say so too, baby. One thing I want you to know, no matter what else is going on, this old man loves you sincere. And that's why I'm here, babies. And sometimes, the grit gets to me, but I learned my lesson. I set myself free. See, and we're all, even in moments like that, even though your situation's entirely different than mine, we're dealing with the same essential thing all the time. And getting on with it too, babies. We're charmers, man. Each and every one of us, man. We live in the larger view already. It's just a matter of letting ourselves realize it, man, And then we start to see the poetic irony in this life. And we're always entertained by it. And then you understand why the coyote smiles. He knows the joke's on us always is ironic as all get out, but it's always on us. Will you let all this drama keep you fixed here and keep you imprisoned by it? By all the dealings with it? Whether you're magic with it or not, most folks ain't. But whatever, that you're doing, it doesn't matter. See, this is what makes it kind of a big charade. Because the heart in the larger way, in its loving way, is completely entertained by what we're going through in all moments. They love that can't always get what you want song from the Rolling Stones. Man, shit, that is so real and so right, you see. It's all there in the music. It's been there for generations now if you just pay attention, you see. Because the music is a demonstration, a living demonstration of what life is all about. Yeah, Dr. Feelgood with a little lesson in love and rock and roll, music and medicine for your heart and soul, all the time here. Bring you back to the divine here, babies. You're going to get entertained by this life one way or another. I'm going to kick your little ass, okay? In that loving sort of way. I only give nerve kicks, Well, I guess those aren't nerve. I better not do that then. I'm just saying metaphorically, okay? Hey, let's get this thrilling Thursday underway, shall we? I know we've already improved our attitude a whole bunch. Now we can have a little gratitude and get a better attitude. And get on with it, babies. Fly away, but fly high. As high as you can be. In other words, let this love just expand, 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 until the vision holds you as if you're a cloud in the sky, vapor that experiences everything, gets moved around by the wind, man. Free as the breeze. Do what you please. Feel what you will. You're ever expansive. You're everything real. You're the center of all life, as far as your perception is concerned. And it's a good thing to be loving there at the center, isn't it? It kind of helps the rest of it even out a bit, doesn't it? Yeah, you're going to see a whole lot more as we even the score here on this Thrilling Thursday. You just want to hang on, hang on to Jane, John, and get out of the jungle, eh? Yeah, let's fly away, baby. Setting you free here on this Thrilling Thursday. Here I be, Grandpa Coyote. And I is, too. Wow, expanding into a new reality that seems to be a totality, a feeling of wholeness or something like that. Wholeness, man. Well, donut wholeness or something like that. You know, don't it make you feel whole? To get the rock in the roll, to get the rhythm in your heart and soul. Here with Grandpa Coyote, man, loving you naturally, just the way you ought to be, because you are already, don't you see? That's my message today, man. You already got love underway. You ain't needing for nothing. You got it all, man, you know. And when you learn that love is without a limit, I mean, and it's not really a thought. It's not even think, oh, I'm beyond limits now. No, it's like, when you realize it and feel it and put it into motion in your life, when you expand enough to love everyone beyond the melodrama, holy shite, man! You're flying like a kite, only without a string on you, man. You can fly anywhere you want, be anything you want to be, and make of it what you will, and live in it quite naturally. That's paradise. Natural. Like nature, only she's like everything else in this world. Nature here is a suggestion of our reality. You see, it's kind of like at the center of the things, just like at the center of the sunflower, there's like a bud. Big old bud in the sunflower, ain't there? And lots of little blossoms around it, lots of little petals around it. I mean, in the blossom. The middle is as much as the blossoms, in that case, the sunflower. You see, and each one of us is an essential little seed inside of that sunflower, and let's hope we don't wind up, you know, getting munched while somebody's watching a football game or something. To hell with that, man. Sunflowers are meant to, you know, sprout to the ground and blossom and grow, man, don't you know, and grow more sunflowers. Yeah, more and more, you know, until that's all there is anymore. Well, sunflowers have many, many varieties, man. Varieties beyond comprehension. Because each one of us, like the flakes in the snowstorm or the beams in the sunshine, have our own little personal aspect of it to be. You know, that's what makes the sun shine. That's what makes the snow happy, even when it's cold as hell and blowing all over the place. It loves its little personality, its little element, it knows it's there to begin something really cool as it thaws out and becomes something other than the beautiful geometric expression of living art that it is. And then it becomes a little drop of water and it collects with other little drops of water, and pretty soon there's a whole river of life flowing downstream. And give, oh give. You know, like rolling on the river and proud married babies. You see, we've been there to the rooted parts, the elemental parts. We've been frozen in the snowdrift in our personality for a long frickin' time. But guess what? I don't care how long winter lasts, sooner or later the sun comes out with a blast. I remember how it used to be back 30, 40 years ago, man, when, you know, in the Midwest and the East of this Turtle Island were like, you know, frozen tundra till about middle to end of May, man. Then you start to see the snow melt away and some green pop up real quick. Man, transformation, you know. Because the snow, the coldness, finally let go of its hold and let the warmth come on in and melt it down. And it became then the nourishment by which the new life grew. It was just water held in reserve through the winter time, man. You know, as everything slept and, you know, got on with its hibernation and dreamed itself into the springtime in the Rocky Mountain High, even out there in the prairies, man. Why not? You know, blossoms come forward everywhere when the snow finally melts. See, The sunshine is the one consistent thing in this reality. Everything else seems changeable, but the sunshine, for the most part, is consistent. You know, of course, you get your waves and your explosions, all this horse shit they talk about in science. But I'm talking about the radiance, the surety, the solidarity of the light, always, and even in the night, grand reflections of it all over the place, reminding you that it ain't through. You just stepped in the shadow for a while, you know, and just like the snow that blows into the snowbank, but ultimately becomes, as the sun shines upon it, the nourishment by which all life begins itself. And that's the essential role of the human heart here. See, and we're losing then the frozen reality that seemed to, you know, separate snowflake from snowflake and, you know, cause conflict between them. Strange shit, eh? But there it was, man, in our way. Until today. Yeah, see, we saw our part in the poetic little drama of life. And we loved ourselves for it. We loved ourselves beyond it in that sense. Because we don't live like that anymore. We never will again. This is the hugest change there could ever be in life. Yet it's quiet, simple, sweet. As pure as a mother's love holding the baby to her chest. You know, and just rocking him her best and just being that radiant love. Like Beth when she hung up the phone, man, you know, says, you're not all alone, baby. You know, my love is stronger than anything like loneliness. Shit, there, I'm your inspiration in that band. That's why you're going to write this cool song about me that's going to be memorialized forever. Yeah, see? See what a treasure comes out of the tragedies? Just where you think you could feel the worst and the bluest you ever felt. The boys ain't coming home and I'm dying. I don't get no fun. You know, you could go that way, but instead, the old drama don't play. You just hang up that phone. You say, man, I'm not alone. And you expand and grow and you create a new song, don't you know? Isn't that awesome? See, that's the poetic symmetry in all the life we're living right now. That's the beauty of it. That's how we transform it. Just by changing the way we see it and how we be it, you know. When this love is alive, it's the most powerful force there ever could be in any world, in any dimensional reality, whatever you want to consider it to be. We are the ultimate power. The power of love in motion. You see, we don't have to compensate by making war on each other, you know, or any other thing, you know, in that sense that we have to experience a conflict, another day, another moment, in any other day. Because like the sun, we rise up, we're solid. It's always there. The light is shining and it's pure and clear and golden in its expression, though it comes from a blue form of centering reality too. Well, as we see it from here, it is the blue star. But see, the blue star unites with its mother, which has always been the union, but we chose to experience it in another way. We needed to know the light and dark, the way of the woven pattern of life. We didn't quite see it. We didn't quite get the flow. See, we lived in it so naturally you don't even know you're flowing. So we stepped outside the stream for a while, enlightened by the sun, and evaporated into that presence so that we could be the clouds from which the frozen snow does blow, man, you know. And finally melt down after a long generation of winter, just like it used to be back in the day here. You thought it would never end. It started about mid-October and it lasted until like middle of May or the end, you know. And you got 3 months of summer and it was hot and muggy because there's so damn much steamy snow melting down around you, man. And there was all this life coming up and exuding more liquidity into the atmosphere. So more life could be enriched by it, you see. Oh, by the way, that's how we replace rain in this new reality. It's just ether. It's just there. It's not humidity anymore. It's just the vapors of life, the vapors of nourishment that come from the ocean. But through the sky is the delivery, the spirit wind of the heart in motion. And then we become, as the wind brings the ethers and the nourishment to us, we become, you know, the living experience of the wind, rooted in the earth. And expanded into the sky beyond earth and sky, into everything that is expansive beyond that. Because we're the center, we're the nest egg of that creative love. And that's the feeling we've established in ourselves today, in an odd coyote sort of way, because it's always irony. But by realizing the irony, we realize the coyote way, the way of the heart. How it likes to live, all of its highs and lows together in a singular moment and really enjoy them. And we're beginning to realize the richness of our experience here, why it's been so dramatic, why it's pushed us so hard, why those of us that are sensitive, so-called, get moved so powerfully by nothing, next to nothing it seems, yet by being willing pioneers in the heart, by being willing to go where the heart leads. And it's difficult at times because it goes against your conceptions of what life should be. There's always a little conflict with the reality, and maybe sometimes more than others. As far as you feel it, in personality, in this frozen form of life we've been as we begin to thaw out here and find out what we're all about. You see, so our whole vision of ourselves as a beautiful geometric form of expression in that frozen little snowflake, in the drop of water, finds itself reformed quite naturally. And then what does it become? The water is absorbed into the earth and becomes earth and sky once again by blossoming through the plantation of love, whether it be animal, plant, tree, bird. Everything happens naturally because of the nourishment in the atmosphere. The paradise aspect of this whole equation here that we so left far behind us so long ago, we didn't even know. We do now, getting in that flow. So let it go, whatever it is, man. Is this bugging you right now, man? Just be loving. Look at it differently. Embrace it. Say thank you for the challenge of this moment or the blessing of this moment. Whatever it may be. Thank you, experience. Be Alison Morissette. Thank you, irony. And bless you to set us free, man, because it does when you see. That's the Koyote Medicine here. Ooh, in a big way. All of it. When you rise above the fray, when you are love in every moment that you live, no matter the situation, you've actually risen beyond anger and pain. And you won't ever be defensive again. Not ever. You'll just live a life that's natural, pure, and flowing. And everything around you, because of the nature of the flow and the strength in it, has to accommodate that flow. Just like the river, man, It pulls everything else along with it as it flows along. You don't get in the way of the river, man. You put a dam in it, it ain't only going to last so long. We'll take it down. The river is slow and steady, but sure in its progression. And it's always carving out new paths for itself here and there too, man. It don't stay in the same place all the time, ever. It moves around a bit, even though it seems rock steady when you look at it from afar. But when you get down close to it, you see that it's moving all the time, even in the summer when there's hardly any flow and it's just going along real slow. It's still recarving the nature of itself, recreating itself in every moment that it lives. The living waters are like that. That's the nourishment in creation. That's the mother love symbolically. But in that liquidity is the ability to feel and be in motion as an entity, a personality. See, so the snowflake becomes unfrozen, becomes that beautifully enlightened golden drop of water that it is, absorbed into the Mother Earth's skin and heart once again, and brought forward through her channels and directions, her veins and arteries and so forth, brought forward again as the living things that we are, the love of herself in motion. In order to arise above her own lonely pain, which she acquired and accommodated a long, long time ago, she had to reassert herself in creation. She had to begin creation so she could feel and experience her own divine desire to love and be loved in return. To create that cycle that goes on forever. Now that's creation. Nature boy, nature girl. To love and be loved in return. Sweet medicine from the Coyote Man, wouldn't you say? Here given in that hazy sort of way so you can get it clear, dear. HazyRadio.com, we got it on early in the day when Grandpa's here to play. I tell you.